In a significant move reflecting the intersection of politics and academia, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has committed to depositing his senatorial papers at the University of Florida's George A. Smathers Libraries. The announcement made on February 24, 2025 highlights Rubio's dedication to preserving political history and providing future scholars access to critical documents that shaped his career and the broader political landscape. Rubio, who served as a U.S. Senator from 2011 until 2025, has held various influential positions including senior member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and Vice Chair of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. His decision to archive his political papers at UF is particularly poignant given his own roots as a graduate of the university where he earned a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science in 1993. "We are honored that Secretary of State Rubio is entrusting us with his senatorial papers," remarked Judy Russell, the Dean of University Libraries. "Preserving these historical documents is so important, and we are pleased future scholars will have the opportunity to engage with his materials and others in our collection." The Florida Political Papers collection, which will now include Rubio's documents, is already a treasure trove of historical artifacts from notable Florida politicians including former governors and U.S. senators. The collection comprises a wide array of materials such as correspondence reports, speeches, and audiovisual content covering key events in Florida and national history, including civil rights movements, environmental conservation efforts, and significant foreign policy decisions. By adding Rubio's papers, the collection not only expands its scope but also enhances its relevance in contemporary political discourse. The implications of this archival endeavor stretch beyond mere documentation. It serves as a bridge connecting past political actions to current and future governance. Scholars and students will have the opportunity to explore Rubio's insights and decisions during pivotal moments in American politics, offering a deeper understanding of the complexities surrounding legislative processes and international relations. In a related context, Rubio's political stance has recently faced scrutiny, particularly regarding his views on authoritarian regimes, a topic that has gained renewed attention amid fluctuating U.S.-Russia relations. With the ongoing debates around foreign policy and democratic values, the release of his papers may provide clarity and context to his long-held positions, which have often positioned him as a vocal critic of authoritarian leadership. This juxtaposition of his archival commitment and his political narrative invites further examination of the evolution of his political ideology. As the political landscape continues to shift, the preservation of Rubio's papers may serve as a vital resource for historians and political analysts alike, fostering discussions around accountability and the role of public officials in shaping democratic values. Looking ahead, it will be interesting to see how the materials deposited at UF will influence academic research and public discourse, particularly as new generations of politicians emerge and grapple with the legacies of their predecessors. In a striking display of leadership changes at the Pentagon, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has defended President Donald Trump's recent firings of senior military leaders, asserting that such actions are not unprecedented. During an appearance on Fox News Sunday, Hegseth downplayed the backlash against the dismissals, which included the abrupt removal of Air Force General C.Q. Brown Jr., the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. "Nothing about this is unprecedented," Hegseth stated, emphasizing the president's prerogative to assemble a national security team aligned with his policies and vision. The dismissals have raised concerns about the politicization of the military, a sentiment echoed by critics from both sides of the aisle. Hegseth pointed to historical precedents, citing past presidents like Franklin D. Roosevelt and Barack Obama, who also made significant personnel changes during their administrations. He noted that Obama, for instance, dismissed hundreds of military officials, including Army General David McKiernan, as part of a strategic shift during his first term. However, while such firings have occurred before, the current context is distinct, as Trump, campaigning for re-election, has pledged to eliminate what he terms woke ideologies from the military ranks. The ramifications of these decisions are significant, particularly given the ongoing geopolitical challenges faced by the United States, including the war in Ukraine and tensions in the Middle East. General Brown, who served as the nation's second black chairman of the Joint Chiefs, played a crucial role during a tumultuous period for the military. Trump's intention to replace him with retired Air Force Lieutenant General Dan Razin Kane further underscores the administration's commitment to reshaping military leadership. Kane, who retired just months ago, will need Senate confirmation to assume the role. Critics have raised alarms about the implications of these dismissals. Retired General George Casey, who previously led U.S. forces in Iraq, described the firings as extremely destabilizing. He expressed concerns about the potential for the Trump administration to alter Pentagon policy without the necessary civilian oversight that the military has traditionally upheld. Meanwhile, Senator Jack Reed, the ranking Democrat on the Senate Armed Services Committee, condemned the firings as completely unjustified and indicative of a broader strategy to politicize the Department of Defense. Hegseth's remarks also hinted at a future of continued personnel changes within the military. When asked about the potential for additional dismissals, he acknowledged that while there wasn't a specific list of officials targeted for removal, the administration is scrutinizing military leadership closely. "We have a very keen eye towards military leadership and their willingness to follow lawful order," he said, implying that non-compliance with the president's directives could lead to further firings. This atmosphere of uncertainty has prompted fears that the integrity of the U.S. Armed Forces could be undermined. Legal experts and former military officials have raised concerns that the dismissals of top judge advocates general, who provide critical legal guidance within the military, are particularly troubling. The move has been characterized as a deliberate attempt to replace independent legal advisors with individuals who may be more compliant with the administration's views. As these developments unfold, the potential for more significant shifts within the military establishment looms large. Hegseth's comments and the administration's actions suggest a clear intent to reshape military leadership in a manner that aligns with Trump's vision for national security. Observers will be watching closely to see how these changes impact military policy and the overall effectiveness of the U.S. Armed Forces in responding to complex global threats in the months and years ahead. In a political landscape increasingly shaped by the interplay of health policy and public sentiment, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s nomination as Secretary of Health and Human Services (HHS) is drawing intense scrutiny. Over the weekend, Kennedy engaged in crucial discussions with Senator Bill Cassidy, a pivotal figure whose vote could determine the fate of his confirmation. As one of the few remaining Republican senators who voted to convict former President Donald Trump during the impeachment trial, Cassidy's stance carries significant weight, particularly given his medical background. Cassidy's office confirmed that he and Kennedy spoke extensively on Sunday, just days before a critical committee vote on Tuesday. This vote in the 27-member Senate Finance Committee is essential. It will either propel Kennedy's nomination forward to the Senate floor or stifle it in committee. Cassidy has not yet publicly declared his voting intentions, although he has expressed hesitations during recent hearings. He articulated a clear dilemma, stating, "I have been struggling with your nomination," citing Kennedy's controversial views on vaccinations as a primary concern. Cassidy underscored the potential consequences of appointing someone with Kennedy's positions, noting, "If there is someone that is not vaccinated, and there is another 18-year-old who dies of a vaccine-preventable disease helicoptered away, God forbid dies, it'll be blown up in the press." Kennedy's confirmation hearings have sparked a blend of support and skepticism among lawmakers. While Cassidy remains undecided, other senators like Todd Young of Indiana have voiced their backing, highlighting Kennedy's commitment to pro-life policies and innovative healthcare solutions. Young stated, "Kennedy's unique leadership on healthy lifestyle choices will benefit countless Americans," indicating a recognition of Kennedy's appeal among certain Republican circles. Similarly, Senator Thom Tillis from North Carolina has also confirmed his support for Kennedy's nomination. As the committee prepares for the critical vote, Kennedy's approach to public health issues, particularly his views on vaccinations and the pharmaceutical industry, remains a focal point of debate. A leaked speech from Kennedy suggests a potential investigation into the links between childhood vaccines and rising rates of autism and chronic diseases like obesity and diabetes. Although Kennedy has assured that he would not alter the federal vaccination schedule, his rhetoric raises concerns. He described the U.S. as the sickest nation on earth with the highest chronic disease burden, arguing that the current reliance on pharmaceutical interventions is not yielding positive results. This perspective aligns with a broader narrative emerging from the Trump administration, which has called for a re-evaluation of health policies and an investigation into the impact of over-medication, particularly among children. The executive order issued by Trump points to an increase in prescription medications alongside rising health issues including autism and attention deficit disorder. However, critics argue that reopening debates around vaccine safety could detract from the progress made in public health, especially as vaccination rates have plummeted, resulting in recent measles outbreaks. The implications of Kennedy's nomination extend beyond the immediate political realm. They could reshape the future of public health policy in the United States. As the Senate Finance Committee prepares for its vote, the outcomes will likely reflect broader societal attitudes towards vaccines, healthcare, and the role of government in public health. The conversations between Kennedy and Cassidy could signal a turning point, either reinforcing or challenging the current trajectory of health policy under the HHS. As the political landscape evolves, all eyes will remain on the Senate's decision regarding Kennedy's confirmation. Should he secure the necessary votes, the ramifications for public health, vaccine policy, and the pharmaceutical industry could be profound, indicating a shift towards a more controversial approach to health management in America. In a significant turning point for the Department of Justice, the Senate has confirmed Pam Bondi as Attorney General under President Donald Trump. Her confirmation, which passed with a narrow 54-46 vote, reflects the deep partisan divides in Congress, with all but one Democratic senator opposing her nomination. Bondi's ascension to this high-profile role coincides with a broader shift in how the Justice Department may operate under the Trump administration, particularly regarding its approach to political investigations and internal policies. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, Republican, South Dakota, lauded Bondi as an experienced and committed prosecutor, emphasizing her dedication to victims of crime. In recent years, many Americans have lost faith in the Justice Department, Thune remarked, alluding to allegations that the agency had been weaponized against conservatives under the previous administration. He expressed hope that Bondi would restore public trust in the DOJ, stating, "The American people should be able to trust that the Department of Justice is not targeting Americans based on their political opinions or religious beliefs." However, Democrats voiced strong objections to Bondi's nomination, with Senator Dick Durbin, Democrat, Illinois, accusing her of being overly loyal to Trump. He suggested that her alignment with the administration's past efforts to remove officials investigating the January 6 Capitol riot raised concerns about her impartiality. Bondi, who served as Florida's Attorney General from 2011 to 2019, has a history of controversial decisions, including her handling of investigations into Trump University, which came under scrutiny after Trump's foundation made a donation to her campaign. At her confirmation hearing, Bondi vigorously defended herself against accusations of politicizing the Justice Department, asserting, "If I am the Attorney General, I will not politicize that office." Yet her assurances did little to assuage critics, particularly when she refrained from ruling out investigations into former DOJ officials involved in cases against Trump. Bondi's confirmation comes in the wake of Trump's re-election, during which he pledged to eliminate perceived political biases from federal law enforcement. Immediately after taking office, she established the Weaponization Working Group, aimed at reviewing investigations that may have targeted Trump or his allies. This initiative signals a potential restructuring of the Justice Department's priorities, with Bondi suggesting that past charges against Trump were part of a politicized campaign against him. Her appointment has already stirred controversy, particularly with the announcement that the DOJ would halt federal funding to sanctuary cities and would cease diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI programs deemed illegal. This has led to resignations among federal prosecutors who are concerned about the implications of these directives. Furthermore, the decision to drop corruption charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams, a known sanctuary city advocate, has raised eyebrows and accusations of quid pro quo. Complicating matters within the Justice Department, recent reports indicate that there is internal strife regarding personnel decisions. Paul Ingrassia, a White House liaison, has been pushing for candidates who display exceptional loyalty to Trump, resulting in conflicts with Bondi's team. His reassignment to the Department of Homeland Security suggests a fracturing of the administration's approach to staffing the DOJ, a situation reminiscent of the infighting that characterized Trump's first term. As Bondi settles into her role, her actions will be closely monitored, not only for their immediate effects on the Justice Department but also for how they may shape the political landscape leading up to the next election. Her promise to restore integrity and focus on violent crime is juxtaposed against the backdrop of her controversial past and the administration's ongoing scrutiny of law enforcement. The coming months will likely reveal whether Bondi can indeed navigate the turbulent waters of political influence while fulfilling the core mission of the DOJ. In the complex world of international diplomacy, few relationships are as fraught with tension and strategic significance as that between Ukraine and the United States. Recent developments underscore this dynamic, particularly following Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent's discussions with both Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and China's Vice Premier He Lifeng. With the backdrop of an ongoing war against Russian aggression and the uncertainty of U.S. support, these interactions have profound implications for Ukraine's future. During his visit to Kiev, Secretary Bessent sought to solidify a minerals agreement that would not only grant the U.S. valuable mineral rights but also serve as a political win for the Trump administration. However, President Zelensky was not merely a passive participant. He insisted on a separate meeting with Trump to ensure Ukraine's interests were firmly represented. "I hope that in the near future," Zelensky remarked, "the document will be ready and we can sign it during a meeting with President Trump." This request highlights Zelensky's strategic approach to maintaining U.S. support amidst a shifting political landscape. Zelensky's leadership style, characterized by a blend of charisma and assertiveness, has drawn both accolades and criticism, particularly in his dealings with the Trump administration. While he has been praised for his ability to rally support during wartime, his direct confrontations with Trump have sparked debates within Ukraine about the effectiveness of his diplomatic strategy. Former diplomat Konstantin Yeliseev cautioned against such confrontations, noting, "If you are a statesman, you should think first about your country and not your ego." This sentiment encapsulates the concerns over whether Zelensky's approach has inadvertently complicated Ukraine's relations with its most significant ally. As tensions mount, the stakes for Ukraine could not be higher. The future of American military aid, crucial for sustaining its defense against Russia, is uncertain. Zelensky has been adamant that any U.S.-led negotiations involving Ukraine must include Ukrainian representation. This insistence has drawn mixed reactions, with some U.S. officials expressing frustration. Trump has publicly downplayed Zelensky's importance in negotiations, stating, "He's been at meetings for 3 years and nothing got done." Such remarks reveal a growing impatience with Ukraine's demands, potentially jeopardizing the support that Zelensky seeks. In a broader context, Zelensky's recent defiance against Trump's narratives, especially those dismissing Ukraine's role in the conflict, showcases his commitment to asserting Ukraine's narrative. However, this has not come without risks. European leaders, including Poland's President Andrzej Duda, have advised Zelensky to adopt a more conciliatory tone to prevent further escalation of hostilities. Duda emphasized the need for calm and constructive cooperation with Trump, highlighting the delicate balance Zelensky must navigate in order to secure necessary support. Zelensky's assertive style has often frustrated Western leaders who have at times felt lectured rather than engaged. While many Ukrainians support his defiance in the face of Trump's criticisms, there is an understanding that Ukraine's survival hinges on maintaining strong alliances. Lieutenant Pavlo Velichko, an active combatant in the Northeastern Front, articulated the national sentiment by stating, "Ukrainians want peace more than anyone else, but our struggle and the resistance of the Ukrainian military is the only reason why we still exist as a nation. This underscores the collective desire for Ukraine to have a voice in negotiations that will shape its future rather than being sidelined in deals orchestrated by external powers." Looking ahead, the implications of these diplomatic exchanges are profound. As Besant's discussions with China and Ukraine unfold, the global landscape continues to shift. The interplay between U.S. economic interests, Ukraine's sovereignty, and the broader geopolitical tensions with Russia will likely define the next chapter in this ongoing saga. With each leader maneuvering through a web of expectations and pressures, the challenge remains: how to secure not just immediate victories but sustainable peace and stability for Ukraine in a tumultuous world. As these dynamics evolve, the international community will be watching closely to see how Zelensky balances assertiveness with the pragmatism needed to navigate a complex and often adversarial diplomatic terrain. In a significant development for the U.S. economy, Howard Lut was officially sworn in as the 41st Secretary of Commerce on February 24, 2025. The confirmation by the Republican-controlled Senate reflects a pivotal moment in President Donald Trump's administration, particularly concerning trade policies and the administration's broader economic agenda. Lutnick's appointment signals a strong alignment with Trump's America First philosophy, emphasizing a shift toward aggressive trade practices, including reciprocal tariffs aimed at addressing perceived inequities in international trade. The Senate confirmed Lutnick with a vote of 51-45 following a procedural vote the previous week that saw a narrow endorsement from the Senate Commerce, Science and Transportation Committee. Lutnick, who has been the CEO of investment firm Cantor Fitzgerald, is among the wealthiest individuals to take such a prominent position in the government. During his confirmation hearing, he assured lawmakers of his commitment to divest his business interests to avoid conflicts of interest, stating, "My plan is to only serve the American people. So I will divest, meaning I will sell all of my interests, all of my business interests, all of my assets, everything." Lutnick's perspectives on tariffs were notably aligned with Trump's policies. He argued against the notion that tariffs contribute to inflation, instead asserting the need for the U.S. to adopt a more reciprocal approach to trade. "We are treated horribly by the global trading environment. They all have higher tariffs, non-tariff trade barriers, and subsidies. They treat us poorly. We need to be treated better," he emphasized during his confirmation hearings. This rhetoric resonates with Trump's recent directive to implement a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum imports, along with a 35% tariff specifically targeting Chinese imports, a move that has been met with mixed reactions across various economic sectors. However, Lutnick's ascent to the role of Commerce Secretary has not been without controversy. Just hours after his swearing-in, U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren raised critical questions regarding the potential conflicts of interest arising from Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency DOGE accessing the Commerce Department's sensitive trade data. Warren expressed concerns that Musk's involvement could undermine public trust in the department, which holds critical data on trade secrets and competitive information about U.S. businesses. "The Commerce Department is at a fork in the road," Warren stated, warning that the integrity of the department's operations could be compromised if sensitive information were made accessible to Musk's associates. As Lutnick embarks on his tenure, he is tasked with navigating these complex issues while fostering an environment that supports American businesses and enhances the nation's competitive stance in the global market. His upcoming report on reciprocal trade relations, due by April 1, 2025, will be closely scrutinized and is expected to set the tone for future trade negotiations and policies. Looking ahead, Lutnick's leadership at the Commerce Department will likely be a litmus test for the effectiveness of Trump's trade strategies. As the administration seeks to reshape the U.S. trade landscape, the implications of Lutnick's policies could reverberate through various sectors, influencing everything from manufacturing to technology, with growing scrutiny from lawmakers and the public alike. How Lutnick balances these interests while safeguarding the integrity of the Commerce Department will be crucial in determining the trajectory of U.S. economic policy in the coming years.